Let's talk about data blending in Google BigQuery. First of all, let's define what we mean with data blending. Essentially is when we combine multiple data sources into one unified view. For example, here we have three marketing data sources: Meta Ads, Google Ads, and GA4. We're gonna blend all this together into just one table, so that way we can have a unified marketing report with total spend, blended ROAS, cross-channel attribution, real CPA, and many more metrics. Now you may be wondering how you can do this blending. Let's review the steps. The first thing you will need to do is to import the data sources into Google BigQuery. So you will need to get the table from Meta Ads into Google BigQuery and a table from Google Ads into Google BigQuery, so later you can cross it. To do the import of the table, you can use an ETL tool like Porter Metrics, and we will make a lot easier the process, not just only in the importing, but also in the next steps. For now, we will assume that you're going to import the data sources tables into Google BigQuery manually. The second point is to identify the source tables. You will have to go into Google BigQuery, find where the Meta Ads table is, find where the Google Ads table is, and also you will need to understand what are the fields that those two tables are bringing. For example, Meta Ads is bringing date, campaign, spend, impressions, clicks. You need to understand what each column means inside that table and the Google Ads table. The third point is doing the join. We will cross and merge the Meta Ads table and Google Ads table. The fourth step is standardize column names. Since you already understand the fields that each table is bringing, we will need to identify which tables means the same but have a different name, so that way we can blend it. And finally, we can query the resulting table, the blended table, so that way we can group it by data source or by any category we want and get total metrics. Let's see this in a more visual way. Okay, so we are here in this slide and we are seeing a Meta Ads table and a Google Ads table. We are going to blend these two tables. So the first thing we will do is go and understand what are the fields these tables are bringing and which ones means the same but have different naming. For example, in the Meta Ads table, we have the spend column. And in the Google Ads table, we have the cost column. Essentially, they mean the same, but they have different naming in both tables. This is important because when we are doing the SQL query, we will have to think on this, so that way we can standardize column names for things that means the same, but in the original tables have different names. Now let's take a look on how this SQL query will look like. The SQL query will be something similar to what we are seeing here in the left. Remember, we already did a video explaining the basic SQL operators. You can go and click in the top right corner right now so you can learn more about this. Let's continue with the video. So the SQL query will look something similar to this. Essentially, we have three sections in this query. Let's look at them. We have this first section. We are calling the Meta Ads table here because the from says project dataset Meta Ads. That's the table we are calling. We have the union all. This is the join of both tables. And we have also this third section that is calling all the information from the Google Ads table. You can see it here from project dataset Google Ads. Inside the selects, we are calling the columns of each data table that we want to see in the new table that we are creating. So from the Meta Ads table, we are bringing date. We are creating a new column that it will be called source, and that by default will say Meta, so that way we can label all the rows from that table as Meta. We are also calling campaign, spend, impressions, and clicks. And from the Google Ads table, we are calling the date. We are also creating this column of source that will label each row of the Google Ads table as Google, so that way we can identify the source pretty quick. We are also calling the campaign. We are calling the cost, but remember that we have a discrepancy between spend and cost. So in this case, to unify this column, instead of leaving the name cost as it is in the Google Ads table, we are calling it a spend. So that way we have a unified spend between the Meta Ads table and the Google Ads table. And we are also calling impressions and clicks. And here in the right, we see the resulting table. That will be date. Here you see the source, the brand campaign, that is Meta, Meta, Google, Google, and spent in clicks. As you can see, this is quite complex. It requires a lot of SQL knowledge. You will have to do previous work bringing the information from each data source into Google BigQuery so that later you can join it. And as I mentioned it to you before, with Porter metrics, you can do all of this process a lot easier and just in minutes. And that's what I'm going to show you right now. Let's go into it. We just landed here in the Porter metrics dashboard, and we're going to see how we can create this new table to be sent into Google BigQuery, blending multiple marketing data sources. Our first step is clicking on the create button. Now we are going to select our destination. In this case, it's going to be BigQuery. Now here in this section, we're gonna select our data sources. You can select as many as you want. In this case, I'm just gonna pick Meta Ads, Google Analytics, and Google Ads. Now I'm gonna name this query I'm creating inside Porter Metrics as ads plus GA4 query. This name is only visible inside the Porter Metrics dashboard. This is not the table name that we are going to be sending into Google BigQuery. And we will hit on next. Now I'm gonna connect the Meta Ads, Google Analytics, and Google Ads accounts that I want to merge and blend. I search for one account, I select it, then I click on save. I will do the same with Google Analytics. I search for one account, I select it, I click on save, and the same for Google Ads. I click on save, and now I hit on next. Then I'm gonna click the button new query. And now we are gonna start setting up the table that we want to get inside Google BigQuery without doing or thinking in all of these joins. Here in this first step, we are seeing the data sources we selected, in this case, Meta Ads, Google Analytics, and Google Ads. Now I'm gonna click on BigQuery. I'm gonna choose the Google Cloud account I want this new table to go in. In this case, it's gonna be my Google Cloud account, Santiago Cardoso. I'm gonna select my project ID. We already did videos on each of these steps I'm showing you. You can go and click in the top right corner to learn more about this. But for now, I'm just gonna pass through it real quick. I'm gonna select my project ID. When I click on the drop down, I'm gonna see the project IDs associated to this Google Cloud account. I'm gonna pick marketing data test project. Then I'm gonna select my dataset location. In this case, is going to be US multi-region. I'm gonna name my dataset. In this case, is going to be marketing ads. And now I'm gonna give a name to this table that I'm creating. In this case, I'm gonna call it ads underscore GA4. And now I'm gonna click on metrics. And if I click on the plus button, I will see all the available fields already imported metrics. Some of them are blended. That means we already did the hard work of figuring out where are the fields in one table, in another, so we can standardize the naming. In this case, I'm gonna go with blended ad spend. Now I'm gonna pick a unique field from the Google Analytics, in this case GA4 conversions. And now I can create custom metrics with natural language. I just tell the AI what I want, and AI will help me doing the function or the formula. In this case, I'm gonna go with divide blended ad spend in GA4 conversions. If I click in the arrow, now I will see the formula, and I'm gonna name my calculated field. I click on create, and now I'm gonna go and add some dimensions to this table. I click on dimensions, I'm gonna add the date dimension, and you can see that in the right panel there's a table preview. That is the table we will be sending into Google BigQuery. This is just a preview, this is not the full data, it's just so that you can have a visual representation of what you will actually be sending to Google BigQuery. Now I'm gonna select my date range. We have many date ranges. By default, you will see last 7 days. If you want to check what are the other date ranges we have available, go and click the top right corner. I can apply a filter. In this case, I will not do it. I can sort the table by any of the fields that I have chosen. In this case, I'm going to pick date. I'm going to apply ascending order. I will refresh my table preview. And now I have my rows order from major to minor. Now I'm gonna click on a schedule to determine at what time I want this table data to be refreshed. I can do that in natural language. In this case, I'm gonna say every day at 6 a.m. If I click on the arrow, now you will see a chip next to the arrow saying the time that this table will be refreshed. And finally, I can pick which write mode I want to be applied on this table. In this case, I'm going to choose override. This will replace the entire table every time I refresh it. And now I can click in the play button, and this table that we are seeing right now is going to be sent right into Google BigQuery. I click on it and I receive a message telling me that the process was successful. Let's go into Google BigQuery and see if this table is now available there. We are here in my Google Cloud account and we will check if the table we just created inside Porter Metrics was sent successfully to Google BigQuery. So let's check it out. Remember that the table was in the marketing data test project, so we are fine with that. Now I'm gonna go to datasets. I click on datasets, and here you will see the two datasets that I have inside marketing data test project. Remember that the dataset that I chose was marketing underscore ads. So I'm gonna click on marketing underscore ads. And now I can see the tables that I have inside of it. In this case, I have two tables, a previous one that was Meta Ads, Google Ads, and now I have another one that is called Ads GA4. I'm gonna click on Ads GA4. At first, I'm gonna see my schema, and if we click on preview, we can see a preview of the table we just created. And this is how easy you can blend these marketing data sources, create these tables, send them right into Google BigQuery using our tool Porter Metrics without all of that SQL and all of that complexity.